user wants to see a report only with these three tables, he can just open the form and just press Control P. That is a shortcut for print of auto report. So it comes with an auto report, and then when I say OK, so all the fields in the table will be shown with the report. Okay, because right now there is no data, it doesn't show.
Okay.
And then the lookup. The lookup is basically used when you want to show this data in some other form. So here we will not use a lookup. That is because here we don't have an index. We have not created an index. We just have three fields in the table, and that's all. And then this auto identification is basically used to identify the primary index of the table. Okay.
Index of the table. Okay.
Yeah. So whenever whatever index you set, automatically auto identification with that index will get set.
Okay.
Okay. And auto summary and auto browse is basically used if you want to browse the table. If you want to have it in a different way, we do that. And even auto summary also is the same thing. Next, it is the index. Now, index is basically it is defining the primary index or a cluster index. Primary index is a single key. Cluster index is a combination of more than one key. And with primary index, we always set auto duplicate as no. Okay. This full text index, it is basically used for searching just long string. If you want to search any long string, then we use the full text index. Relation is basically defining a relation between a primary table and a secondary table. For example, I'll take item. Okay. So when I drag this table and drop it over here, it says that do you want a foreign key relation from the EDT of the current table? When I say yes, what happens? It automatically creates a relation. Now what is a primary table? Primary table is this EDT has a table reference, and here it has been defined that this event table item ID is a primary table. So I can go here. Okay, I'll show you. If you can see, this event table item ID is a primary index, and they've made auto duplicate as no. So how can I know that it is primary index? By checking the table index property. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now we have built a table with a relation and all that. Next is a delete action. Delete action is if you have a header table and you have a child table, if you want an operation wherein when you delete the header table, if you want the child table to be deleted or restrict, then we use a delete action. So in Dynamics, there are three basically type of delete action. One is cascade, the other one is cascade plus restrict, and the other one is restrict. So restrict is until the child table is deleted, the parent table will not be deleted. So cascade is the moment you delete the parent table, the child table will automatically get deleted. Cascade plus restrict is it will show you a warning saying that there is data in the child table. Do you want to go ahead and delete it? If you say yes, both will get deleted.
Okay.
So and table methods. Table methods are nothing but these are the methods we write to do a table manipulation like insert, update, delete, or if you want to fetch any record. So basically we write the table methods. Okay. So now we will build a simple form for this. So I will use a simple list form. So in Dynamics there is one more best practice. So always have the table name and form name the same, so that you will come to know that this form is designed for which table. Okay, so then I'll drag and drop the data set,
Mhm.
and then since I'm using a template, the template as automatically the design by default it is there. So only thing is I need to set the property. So I'll go to category, I'll go to data, I'll say the data source for this action pane is this. Now action pane is the part wherein you use this to have any buttons or it's just like you call ribbon, I think, in .NET.
Uh, okay.
Okay, so I've not created a group. So what I'll do is I'll go and create a group. Okay, and then one more thing is it is always better to use the group for adding the fields in the table, so that tomorrow if there is a requirement that you need to add one more field in the table and put it into the form, instead of going and changing in all the places, we can directly do it over here. I'll say it is sample. So I'll take all the three fields, I'll drop it in the sample, and I'll
Mhm.
say restore. When I say restore, so that I can use the same thing over here. I save this and then I say restore. Now I'll use the sample. So now when I open this, you can see you have already a form. So I'll say one. See now the item number you're getting a drop down. This drop down it is coming because of the item lookup which has been set over here.
Okay.
Okay, here it has not been set. Okay, fine. If this has not been done, then they have actually written a custom lookup. So how do we find the custom lookup as? Okay, this I'll come into this later. In Dynamics, there are
Okay.
basically four types of lookup we can write. One is a
Mhm.
sysquery lookup that is using a class. The other one is
Mhm.
using auto lookup. Then it is an EDT lookup, and then it is by using a form.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll discuss that in detail. So pick an item. Now I'll type something, some name, and then I'll put a string. So when I close this, it is on autosave. So in Dynamics, it is autosave. So you don't need to save anything. You don't need to write any code to save the records or insert any record. So it
Okay.
is done automatically. Okay.
Okay.
So if I
So
want to
this data
delete
is
the,
saved into,
yeah, this
yeah.
data is
So
saved
this data
in,
is directed to the table
yeah,
or
directly
the
into the table.
database.
Now, yes. Now if I want to run the report for this particular table, I can
Mhm.
say Control P. Okay, it is because this has not been synchronized. Okay, just a minute. I think, see, you can see here this item, even though it is synchronized, it doesn't show. It shows as unretrieved. It is because
Right.
sometimes when you do this, you need to restart the OS. What I'll do is I'll put these two into a project. I'll say it as so that it will be easy for me to check. Can you just check your the virtual machine's memory utilization?
Yeah. It still says starting. Do you want me to stop it and start it again, or?
Mm, can you just refresh it and see
Yeah.
like this?
Let's see. Yeah, I just did. Same thing.
Can you just check here like the what is the memory utilization?
It says 94%.
94%. Is it possible for you to have another laptop at least for some time till the completion of training?
Yeah, sure, I will try to do that.
For that virtual machine, the actual recommendation is 24 GB.
Oh,
You can do one more thing, but I'll just check it out and I'll pass you that link, wherein you can make this virtual machine because it's already it's a installed operating system, right?
right.
So you can connect it to the you can add this as a virtual disk to
Mm-hmm.
whatever disk you have in your operating this one, and make this as a bootable. So when you log in, you have two options, wherein you can even log into your Windows 8 or you can log into this particular
Oh,
um,
okay.
environment,
Okay.
and that will be faster because the whole RAM, everything right now it is getting shared.
Right.
In that case, it will not get shared.
Okay. Yeah,
There
just
was
send
a
me that link.
blog. Yeah,
I
there was a
think,
blog
yeah, I
from.
think I can. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a report. It comes automatically. Why only two fields? Because I've added only two fields.
Right.
So if I show you here in auto report, it has only two fields. Now you might get a requirement wherein you want to add even a vendor with this one. So what I can do is I can add directly go to the EDT and I say vendor account,
Mm-hmm.
one account. I can drag and drop it here, and this vendor account I can put it in the group, and then when I save this and synchronize, and then when I open this form, you can see the vendor account is already there. So we don't
Okay.
need to go and add the fields one by one. So based on the group, automatically the fields gets added.
Okay.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
this is how we do this. Now coming back to, we'll create an index. I'll show you how to create an index, how to make a relation, and how to get that type of relation. So what I'll do, I'll create a EDT. I'll say this data dictionary.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question.
Yeah,
Yeah. So now you are doing, you just added those, whatever we have created, the tables to the
yes,
projects folder, right? So
yeah.
is it like a folder in the AOT or?
It is a folder which has a reference to whatever objects is there in AOT. Why I do this is so that it will be easy for me to. Otherwise, if I put all the objects together, so
Mhm.
I because all the icons, then I need to go and see specifically which is that icon. Based on that to differentiate whether it is a form or a
Right.
table and all that. So if I put everything in a group and make it just like an AOT, if you can
Mhm.
see here, now I can have the same structure like this in a project, and I can put those objects into those projects.
Okay.
Okay, so now inside the data dictionary, you have one more group for EDT. I'll say this is extended data types. So I can I don't need to go to AOT to create the object. I can directly create it from here.
Okay.
So I'll say I'll give a new EDT where I'm creating a relation. So I'll say that it is ID sample IDX. So sample ID. So once the EDT is created, then I need to drag and drop the EDT into the table so that I have it over here. So once this is done, then what I need to do is I need to create an index. So I'll come here, create an index. I'll say it as sample IDX, and I'll drag and drop the field here and set cloud duplicate as
No.
no. So once I set allow duplicate as
So
no.
the compiler output, it automatically runs, right? Whenever
Yeah.
we create it,
Yes.
or we need
Sometime
to.
it runs. Sometime we need to run it explicitly.
Okay.
Okay. So once this is done, next what I need to do is I need to put the index here. By default, it will be surrogate index. So I'll come here and change this to my primary index. So this is done. Next, I need to go to the EDT and set a relation between the table and the field. So what I'll do, I'll go here, I'll copy the table name. In the reference table, I'll set the reference table to this, and then I come here, relation, I'll say table reference. You can see because of the index and the primary index is already set, this
Mhm.
relation comes automatically. So now this is done. So now this is fine. Now if I have one more table, I'll say it is line. So I'll drag this field and drop it here. So when I drag and fill, now you can see that it is asking that do you want to have a foreign key relation with the primary table. If I say
Mhm.
yes and I come here, you can see the relation is already set.
Okay.
Okay, so then now I can open this table. Okay, I need to do a synchronize. Okay, now if I click here, you can see I'm getting an index drop down and it is only a sample.
Right.
Only one field. Now if I want to have more than one field, what I can do is I can go here in auto lookup. I can put this and I can put the vendor account. So here now when I click a new record, you can see that because of the auto lookup, these two fields are coming automatically.
Okay.
Okay. So I need to restart the service again because of the new field it is added. Because there is an error with the table and all that. It is I need to do this. Otherwise,
Okay.
by normally it should not be done.
Okay. So it
But
automatically synchronizes and
it automatically synchronizes.
okay.
Suppose if because normally when we do a development, a lot of objects are getting changed and all that, then we have this problem.
Okay.
Otherwise, normally we don't have this.
So we create the projects in our dev and we can push it the whole project into test on
Yes,
live, right?
yes, 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 yes. Okay, I have not put anything in sample ID. So I've not added the field. So what I'll do is
Mhm.
I'll put it here and make this as the first field. Now when I close this, and then I do a synchronization. Now, if I want to know what is server name and database name, I can go to System Administration module and go to Inquiry and go to Database Information, and then this is the database server and this is the database name. So I'll copy this and put it over here and say connect. Okay, I don't have access to the database server. Okay, fine. That synchronization error, it is coming because I need to delete the table in the backend and then I create the table, then it'll work fine.
Okay.
Okay, so that's okay. Now I can, okay, I've not added the field here. I'll say this is sample ID 1, now sample ID 2. I'll put 3. I'll say this is 4. I'll select some vendor. Okay, now here, so I have selected this. So I'll select the last one. So I've selected this the third sample ID. Now here I'll go and select, I'll put the delete action. So I'll say new delete action. So table is, it is a test line, and the delete action I'll give it as a cascade. So cascade is basically when I delete the data in the parent table, the child table also should get deleted. So I'll open this, I'll delete the last record. I'll show you here once again that it is the last record which has a relation.
Right.
Okay, so I'll go here, I'll delete this record. So when I delete this, by default on the line also the record should get deleted. So the record is getting deleted. Okay, so now I'll insert one more record. I'll put a second. Now what I'll do here, I'll change this to restrict. Okay, so now when I delete the record, it says that cannot be deleted until and unless the child record is deleted.
Okay.
Okay. Am I fast or it is okay?
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So, and now what I'll do is I'll change the property to cascade and restrict. Now what I should get a warning which says that, okay, do you want to go ahead and delete it? If I delete it, it should go ahead and delete. So I'll delete. Okay. Restore. Actually, it will come up with a warning box. I think something. One second, I'll remove this and do it again. Okay, this actually it should come up with a warning. One info box will come wherein when you say yes, it will get deleted. I think something might have been corrupted here.
Okay.
Okay, so that is basically the concept. So whenever you want to delete, there are three delete actions. One is cascade, restrict, cascade plus restrict. Cascade, it will not even tell you anything, it directly delete. Restrict, it will not
Mhm.
allow you to delete until and unless the child is deleted. Cascade plus restrict,
Mhm.
it will allow you to delete, but it will come up with a message box saying that do you want to go ahead and delete it? When you say yes, it's get deleted. When you say no, it will not get deleted.
Okay.
Okay, so here I'll put it as cascade. Okay. Now, what we'll do is we will build one more type of the form. Okay, I'll talk about the standard thing what is there in Dynamics. Okay,
Mhm.
these pages we call this as a list pages. Okay,
Okay.
so a list page. So a list page will not open a new window. It will open within the Dynamics. Okay, so the below section we call this as the preview pane.
Mhm.
Okay, the right side what you can see, this we call it as a fact box.
Okay.
Okay, these area on your left side, extreme left, we call this as a navigation pane.
Mhm.
The top we call this as the action pane.
Okay. The ribbon.
A ribbon, we call this as in Dynamics we call this as action pane.
Action.
And the top we call as address bar, or
Okay.
they even call it as a breadcrumb.
Okay.
Okay, so when you click on edit, this page we call this as a master page. Okay, and these are the fast tab. Okay, this general, address, these are nothing but the fast tab. And whatever you can see here on the bolt, this we call
Mhm.
this as a summary. Okay,
Okay.
okay. And there is one more type of the form. Okay, now this we call it as a transaction form. Okay, so
Okay.
why you have an header information which is unique for a record, and you have a multiple lines. Okay,
Okay. So the header information for that is for the particular line or for the whole transaction?
it is for the whole transaction.
Okay.
For it is just like per purchase order. Now, in a purchase order, you have an order where you put a vendor, all those details. Now, that is
Right.
unique for that particular order, but you can have any number of items,
Okay.
the price, discount, and all that. Okay,
Mhm.
and then you have one more type of the form. We call this as the table of content. Why? It looks like a table of content. Now, these are
Okay.
nothing but it are different tabs which shows which comes like a table of content. Okay,
Okay.
so if I go here, the list page, that was the vendor form. When I showed you a vendor form, right? That is this one.
Okay.
Detail form master. It is when I double click on the vendor form, one form opened, right? That is a detail form master.
Mhm.
Now transaction, it does nothing but the purchase order form.
Mhm.
Okay. The simple list and simple list details. Now, what is the difference between a simple list and simple list details? Is okay. I think it is here. One. Okay, I'll show you from the form itself.
So how do you identify which table is for which form or anything? Like
Okay,
I can see a
that's a
couple
good
of them.
question.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I'll take an example.
Mhm.
I'll take some form which even I don't know. I'll go to something like this. I'll go with the charges code. I really don't know which from where it is coming from. So one
Okay.
thing is you open it from here. You right click
Mhm.
on this. You
Mhm.
click on personalize
Okay. On the form, anywhere.
on the form. Anywhere you can do it. You can just right
Okay.
click personalize. So here you can see markup table dot markup.
Okay.
So this could be a table. I don't say this is a table, but this could be a table. But why? Because this normally the data source name and the table name will be the same, but now we can always change the table name and the data source name. So what
Right.
I'll do is I'll right click, I'll click on edit. I come here, I check the property. Yes, both the thing are same. So this is the place from where the data is coming from.
Okay.
Okay. So now this form is there, right? This is nothing but a simple list form.
Okay.
Okay, because it looks like a simple list. And there is one
Mhm.
more form, simple list details. I wanted to show you. One second, it's not here. It's here. Okay, now this is a simple list details form.
Okay.
Okay,
But
now
both
what
of
is
them, yeah.
looks the same, right?
Yeah.
Now I'll tell you what is the difference. Now the difference between this form and this form is in simple list you have only this part and this part. So everything comes from a single table. Okay.
Okay.
So in simple list details form, we can have more than one table. So if I go here, I can create a simple list form and I can go and design the tab. So see here, this it is coming from a different part. So I have two different data sources, just like header and line.
Mhm.
I can now what are these? It's nothing but it's a template. It's a predefined template. I don't need to go and create a tab with this and all that. So it comes automatically.
Mhm.
So the design comes automatic. I can I can go with a new form where it doesn't have any predefined template, and I can build a form exactly like this. But I need to go and set a lot of properties and all that. Or I
Right.
can use a template wherein I can go with the simple list and then I can convert it to simple list details, or I can go with simple list details and just set the property of simple list.
Okay.
Okay, it is just like how do we want to design. So if we have a requirement wherein we need to put something like this, for one record you have a multiple records. So in this
Mhm.
particular case, see I can add any number of records. So in this particular case, for one header, you have multiple lines. If you want to design something like this, we directly go with simplest details. Now,
Okay.
like I showed you before, if I want to design something like the charges code. Now this everything comes from a single place where you don't have an option to add multiple records.
Right.
Okay, so this we can take it as a simple list because there is no details. Okay.
Mhm.
And this template we get it only from the AOT forms. We don't get it within the project. So I created a project, right? So that template I don't get it here. So if you go here and try to create a template, you don't get it.
Okay.
Okay. So I will stop for now for today. So
Mhm.
if Dynamics is up, I want you to try out this one, what we did today. Create a simple table, add an
Mhm.
index, create two different table, and now this is a simple list form. Okay, so
Right.
I want you to design a simple list details.
Okay.
Okay, where you have header and line. Let's see how it is done. Okay,
Yeah.
your service is up or it is still running? It is still starting.
It's starting.
I think the RAM it is bit less, so we need to increase that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Bye.